So I think I've always been interested in landscape as being the genre of painting, specifically, but the genre of art that expresses our relationship to the natural world, and so often that has been a dualistic relationship where it's humans expressing their ideas of what the natural world is all around them. And I came across a quote at some point from Cézanne, who wrote that the landscape paints itself in me, in him. So the artist is part of the landscape expressing itself. And that tied in very nicely into ideas that I've been researching about ecology, and ecology as being a more potent and realistic framework for understanding what we call the natural world instead of nature, which is really sort of a Victorian idea. For the most part, these are based on photographs that I took when, and I didn't want the show to be like specifically a travel journal, but some of them are referencing photographs that I took on a trip across the United States, which I had never done before, and also some landscapes from near where I grew up. But then others, like the one behind me, which is called Sont, and most of these small monotypes are invented imaginary landscapes. Some of them have it within them, like embedded, meaning that wouldn't be apparent, but this piece here is called Roselle, and this is a view from the road that you take to get to Spiral J, which is Robert Smithson's monumental landmark piece in the Great Salt Lake, which I visited a few years ago, and I was really taken certainly by the piece itself, which has been in my imagination really strongly for years, ever since I learned about it, and his writings were influential for me. But even more so, overshadowing this incredible artwork is this landscape, which was otherworldly and so much in flux. The light changed really dramatically. I was there for about 24 hours, and it was just, the revelations were continuing to happen up until the very end of that trip, that visit. So this is the view leaving Spiral J. I've always liked paper, and so it maybe came from working primarily in drawing in grad school, and then being encouraged to explore watercolor more. Actually, as a teacher, when I lived in Montreal, had a friend who hired me to teach watercolor, which I had never even taken a watercolor class, but she liked the work that I was. Some experiments that I was doing. So I took a kind of deep dive into watercolor then. And there's a lot that I like about it. It has a reputation for not having control or being kind of impossible to work with, but maybe that's an aspect of it that I like the most, is it's full of surprises. And also there is an element of control. You can erase almost with watercolor. It allows for really interesting effects, blazes and stuff, sort of like oil painting. And with a lot of these works, I guess I've sort of broken some of the rules. The paper hasn't been stretched, and a lot of what I'm doing is letting watercolor kind of cool and evaporate, and so it's been very experimental, and also more of a foray into abstraction than anything else I've done. And so I will work on something in my studio, and then when I leave it at night, it's completely wet, and when I visit it again the next day and it's dried, it's like a surprise waiting for me. Sometimes with positive results and sometimes with that. But I enjoy that process. It's also economical and ecological. It's not, as far as art supplies go, it has a very little impact. It's not too many heavy metals or anything like that. It's not toxic. All of those things are appealing to me. So walnut ink is a traditional art material that has been in use for centuries, and it's extremely easy to make. In these works, it is the brown tones for most of them, and also I will mix most of my colors with a little bit of walnut ink to give it a hue, almost an undertone. And so it's an ink that it's extremely easy to make. In the fall, you're able to gather black walnuts when they fall from the trees, and they sort of rot into the husk of the walnut begins to break down and rot. This isn't the thing that you eat, which is within the shell. That's the nut, that's the hard thing. It's covered by this husk, which is really high in tannic acid, or I don't know if it's tannins or tannic acid. My chemistry about it doesn't go too deep because it's incredibly simple. You just let those rotted husks boil in water and strain that mixture, and you have this brown ink that you then add a rubbing alcohol to kill mold. But it is cheap and accessible and satisfying to make material.